compared to FAT is a much more modern design, has a lot of really cool features. And once again, if you look at the core features of NTFS, it is actually superior to extension 3 of Linux. Okay, extension 3 is kind of like, or extension 4 is the de facto standard used by Linux computers as a file system. NTSF still contains some features that is not found in extension 4 at this point. So Microsoft, to its credit, actually has a lot of superior technology.
I think it goes up to.
How is it compared to the Apple file?
HPFS, right? The high performance file system is what Apple uses. I think HPFS, also traces its root to some other Unix type, file system. I do not know, because I haven't really looked into it. Go ahead.
Oh, I know extension 4 is the standard, but they've gone up to like extension 5.
Is it extension 5 now?
Yeah.
There's also ZFS from, is it from Sun Microsystem?
I think
So ZFS is really the really truly superior file system, but it's really designed for data centers, huge storage arrays and stuff like that. Okay. The reason why you might want to know about the differences between FAT and NTFS is not because I will ask you questions like, okay, now I want you to track down which sector contains this file given the structure of all the files and stuff like that. No, that would be a question in CISP 453, which is systems programming in Linux, okay, which is now canceled. That class is no longer in the catalog. The reason why you might want to know about this difference is when you buy a new thumb drive, you might want to know whether it is formatted to FAT or NTFS. FAT is only good for a certain maximum size. Beyond a certain size, if you go buy a 32 gig thumb drive, I don't even know whether FAT can address all 32 gigs on the device. Okay, so after a certain size, if you buy a thumb drive, it will be formatted to NTFS instead of FAT. Now, why would that be important to you? I can give you a really quick example. Okay, let's say you're working on your homework assignment, a document, for your English class, completely unrelated to this class. So you work on the document, you save the document at home using your Windows 8, Windows 7 machine and whatnot, and then you bring that drive to. Let me finish this part first, okay? I know your question. So you bring the flash drive here onto campus. You go to the LRC or the library. So you bring that drive back to school, and you plug it into the LRC computer or the library, and then you encounter a problem. It cannot open that file. Okay, now that is something that can happen with NTFS, but it won't happen with FAT or FAT. There's a simple reason for that. NTFS can keep track of ownership and permissions of a file. FAT doesn't care. So when you save a file under your own name at home, your system might have marked that file and say only this person with this ID can read and write that file. Nobody else can access that file. When you bring that drive to school and plug it into a school computer, when you sign into that computer, your user ID is not the same as the user ID at home. So now the file system will say, hey, you're not supposed to look at this file, you're not that person, and you're not permitted to deal with that file. So something like that can happen. Okay, it all depends on what is the default permission of files when you save that file at home. The reverse can happen too. You create a new file on your thumb drive at school, you take it home, and then you find out that I could not access the file. The file system or the operating system keeps complaining and say, you're not permitted to write to the file or read from the file. So all of that stuff can happen because NTFS can keep track of user information as well as permission of the files. We are not quite done yet. We have exactly 1 minute and 40 seconds left. My watch is synchronized to the atomic clock, so I can tell you exactly how many seconds we have left. All right, but the nice thing about NTFS is it can utilize and make use of large and huge, storage capacity. So it is something that we can move on and say, oh, I just got a 1 terabyte thumb drive. Guess what? NTFS can easily deal with it. When do you think that will happen? 1 terabyte thumb drive, solid state, on the keychain.
They already have it.
They already have it? I'm so disappointed. Because I thought it would be in a few years, like 2 or so.
I was reading something that had, I think it was, they do have 1 terabyte thumb drives, but they're not quite
Consumer ready, right? Okay, so in theory they can put something like that together, but it's not consumer ready yet. Either the price is too high, or they have some other technical issues, perhaps. All right. Now, Windows also include a GUI environment, and that's what people see. Okay, when people think of Windows, they see the tile design of Windows 7. Okay, they see the Start button. Okay, they see the background. They see how the file organizer and stuff like that. They see the GUI, and this is why the product is called Windows, because most programs designed for Windows are GUI based, and each one opens up as a window. So that's why we have the term Windows, or the product is called Windows. All versions of Windows include a suite of applications. In other words, it's not just the operating system and the graphical user interface and the command line interface, but Windows also bundles with it Notepad, which is a really, I consider this one of the most useful programs, because you can use it to create just regular text files. You can also use it to change configuration files and so on and so forth, which can be very useful if you want to tweak the operating system. We have Paint, which is a really simple image editor, and so on and so forth. We have WordPad, we have Solitaire, all the other simple games. The most notable application is Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer, as you already know, is a web browser that is prepackaged in all versions of Windows since Windows was, well, I would say a later version, because in Windows 3.1 there was no Internet Explorer. And they make Internet Explorer an integral part of the operating system. Has anyone tried to uninstall Internet Explorer from Windows? Was it successful? No. You can try all you want, right? But it won't work. The strength of Windows, okay, so this is the last part. We'll finish this one. I know I'm going a little bit over time here. The strength of Windows is the collection of business type applications that are available. Most notably, Microsoft Office is a productivity application. We'll talk about that later. Microsoft Office is also available for OS X, but the most recent version, they always make it available to Windows first, and then they will port it to Mac OS X. So that's why business people like to use Windows, because of that. All right, so today's lecture is over. I'll see you guys on next Tuesday. I'll give you some homework, I'll send you guys an email when it is available. Okay?
Hi, when I saw the thing is passed over, I saw